Long time no see for this mod. So recently, Pax Britannica had an update adding content to Russia and Prussia. And since I played Russia so much in Kaiserreich, I wanted to give Prussia a shot. Now, if you aren't familiar with Pax Britannica, you may be looking at this map and wondering, what's going on here? Why does Prussia even exist? So here's the lore. In this timeline, in addition to America failing the American Revolution, Austria also beat the Prussians in the Brothers' War, making them form Germany without Prussia. Russia helped them win that war, so as a payment, they took the remains of Prussia under their wing. This lasted until the 1920s, when the instability of the Russian Empire allowed them to break free. Then began a new age for Prussia, a time for liberalism to prosper under a constitutional monarchy. The people were hopeful for Prussia's future with its newfound freedom, but some officers in the military weren't sold on it. So, this new age lasted about 10 minutes before the liberal government was thrown out. And here we are today with Philip Bohler, a former cavalry officer, now leader of the Neo-Imperialist Party and all of Prussia. Their focus tree is small and straightforward for the nation, with two paths, a neo-imperialist path and royalist path, which is determined by your response to a coup attempt that starts after you finish your first focus in the tree. The remaining royalists in the aristocracy have had enough of Bohler and are trying to take him out. I don't know why they're just doing it now, because in canon, Bohler's been charged for like 9 years at this point. I'm just imagining they were living their normal lives, and then one day they were like,
"Wait a minute, I hate golf."
Unfortunately for those nobles, I won't be letting their plan get anywhere. Italy starts in a civil war, and despite there being a neo-imperialist faction, I can't help them at all. The game forces me to watch from the sidelines as their revolution is put out. Hopefully when Italy gets content, they'll fix this. By November 1933, we finished off most of the Junkers and the royalist sympathizers. The remainders had a choice whether they could leave the country or they could leave this planet. The great thing about getting rid of all these aristocrats is they tend to leave a lot of cool stuff behind in their property. For example, they all seem to be carrying an Exter wallet, the company that just so happens to be sponsoring this video. I really love how slim it is compared to my old wallet, while still carrying just as much. It holds up to 12 cards, and they are easily accessed with a click of a button. They also got a card holder too if you're into that, and what's great about Exter's wallet and card holder is that they block RFID, stopping thieves from coming near you and scanning your card to steal from you. Another great thing that they have is a tracker card. You can connect it to your phone, and you can easily track where things are. It's kind of in the name. Put it in your wallet, so if you misplace it, you can easily find it with your phone, or vice versa, because the card can also help you find your phone with the click of a button. Or do what I'm gonna do and put it in your luggage when you travel by plane, so you know where your bag is when the airline loses it for 2 months, or some other idiot passenger takes your bag from the baggage claim area without checking if it's their luggage. So click on my link down below to check out Exter. They have a sale going on for their anniversary till March 31st for 30% off their stuff. But if you use my code, Guy from College, you can get up to 40% off their stuff, so don't miss out. Now back to Prussia. With the Junkers dealt with, it's time to get involved in world affairs. Enter the Men in Black. There was an idea that a group of people would form a shadow government that will stop all leftist thought in the world and establish a universal empire. This is done with decisions where I build political connections across the continents and mess with countries' political affairs. Things still happen without me getting involved, like Algeria seeking independence from the British colonial rule and a Balkan war between all the countries in the region. Algeria managed to beat the Brits and get their independence, which is incredible considering they looked like this 10 days ago. So the only logical conclusion is that the Algerians mind-controlled a British diplomat to let them go. After spamming out a bunch of 2 with cavalry divisions, I finally have the numbers needed to send volunteers out, and I get involved in the Balkan War on the Serbian side. Do I have any idea why this war started and what each side wants? Nope, but when has that stopped nations before? My boys didn't even get a chance to do anything before Romania was knocked out of the war. This left Bulgaria isolated, so they could be bullied by the Greeks and my veteran stormtrooper divisions. I needed to move fast because the Serbian lines were breaking against the Hungarians who were pushing into Bosnia. I sent the Serbs some military aid, and not long after that, the Bulgarians finally tapped out. But the scripted peace deal really screwed me over. My volunteers got stuck in Bulgaria, and since being trapped in Bulgaria is a fate no one deserves, I have to resort to top secret Prussian tech to get my guys out. With only one front to focus on now, the anti-Hungarian coalition started reversing all of Hungary's gains in Bosnia. I was impressed by the AI because as we pushed northwards, the Greeks did a naval invasion of the Croatian coast, which effectively split up their lines and allowed us to cut off a few units. This left the defenses around Zagreb weak, so I, along with the Greeks and Serbs, were able to quickly take the city. This led to another scripted peace deal where I was trapped in a neutral country, but I learned that you can escape this by using a garrison order. Exhausted and alone, the Hungarians couldn't stop the coalition from pushing across the Danube River into core Hungarian territory. By the time Budapest was taken, the Hungarian army ceased to be a fighting force, and we spread out across the country to occupy the remaining cities and get their surrender. With their surrender, a new Balkan order is created, with Serbia taking over Croatia and Bulgaria to form Yugoslavia. Also, Romania got land from Hungary, which is kinda crazy since their war participation was just... But sure, give them a participation trophy. I need something else to do, and I look up north and see that the Free Finnish army is on its last legs. While you definitely can't farm for food up there, I can definitely farm army experience. I am making friends though. The French share similar goals as me, like greatly expanding their nation and avenging wars of the past, so I'm perfect for their alliance. Things are off to a great start in Finland. Despite the Russians' overwhelming numbers advantage, they can't feed anyone out here, so I can push these Russian divisions back. We have a focus to explore the origins of the German people, and with that done, we have new decisions to do excavations around Europe that give our nation bonuses. Seeing these decisions, I'm just imagining like a German Indiana Jones going around looking for artifacts, desperately looking for the sex idol so the Prussian people will have more kids. Things are quiet for a while, but then I get the idea. Instead of training these hard suit divisions, which are basically power armor divisions, at home, why don't I give them a good field test in Finland? And after a few offensives in the area, I can definitely say they're worth the price. I try to push southwards in the hope that maybe if I liberate more Finnish territory, the Free Finns can get more manpower and raise their own army, but as I snake further and further, I'm confronted with how delusional of a goal that was because I'm getting swarmed by more Russian troops. Since there's nothing in the way, they cut off my power armor troops from the rest of Finland, and I have to rush back north to fight my way back to the Finnish lines to get supply. Good thing the Russians were starving as much as we were, so I could successfully get back to safety. I completely forgot when the war was supposed to take place in this mod, so I was completely surprised when I saw France started with an attempted invasion of the Netherlands. This meant it was time to stop messing around in Finland and start taking down Germany. They didn't have much against me at first, so I broke through their lines. The war continues to escalate, with Britain helping the Germans and Russia getting involved on the side of the French, making them my allies. Glad to see the Russian government has no hard feelings against me after what I did to them in Finland. However, I can't imagine the Russian soldiers who fought there were very thrilled to hear about this. But why am I even saying this? That power armor wasn't me. Don't they know every Finn has one of those in their closet? The initial breakthrough didn't last long, and things quickly slowed down to a World War I pace. It took months of fighting, waiting, and luck to finally take the town of Koslan and surround some League of Nations troops. Meanwhile in the west, they're just blitzing through our allies. Spain is about to die, and France is on life support. This is just embarrassing. Imagine spending all this time building and hyping yourself up to get revenge against the countries that embarrassed you 20 years ago just to get run over in 4 months. You wouldn't even hear from me because I would have already jumped in the middle of the ocean rather than face any of that embarrassment. In 1938, I have barely reached Stettin. Meanwhile, half of France was occupied. It's very bleak for this alliance. The casualties were like a jump scare. We haven't been at war for a year, yet France already has more losses than the entire League of Nations, and not even get started on what Russia's pulling here. As usual, it's all on me to win this war since my main allies are approaching this war like...
Aim for the bushes.
But carrying this war is a lot easier said than done, because every time I try to break their lines, I'm getting battles like these, which obviously isn't sustainable for little old Prussia. But what about those hardsuit divisions you used in Finland, you may ask? Well, it turns out when they fight a well-supplied army with air support, they get embarrassed on the battlefield. They have really bad breakthrough, so I need some armor to buff them up. Enter tripods. They have a good balance of speed, breakthrough, and armor that would give my divisions the stats they need to end the stalemate. But college, you may ask? You have barely any factories. How long is it gonna take for you to get enough tripods? Well, only a month, because guess who happens to have a huge stockpile of tripods they aren't using? I have no clue why they made this much, but at least somebody's gonna put it to good use. Once I put the tripods in the hardsuit divisions, I know they're going to perform so much better. The breakthrough still isn't all that, but now the AI struggles to pierce them, and the high hardness makes them more resilient in battles. So I attacked this plain style for a while, and while we are not really winning, the divisions are gaining valuable XP to become better, and the casualties I take are so much more favorable towards me. This is a Pyrrhic victory for the League. Despite their miserable start to the war, miraculously, the French didn't capitulate until February 1939, but that wouldn't change much on our front anyways, because we were dealing with most of the League army anyways. In fact, that's literally why France only died now, since the League pulled off most of the divisions on their front. Things may have not moved for a while, but that was soon to change. My divisions were experienced, my military modernizing, and Prussia was adding some new weapons to their arsenal. Combine all of that, and it doesn't matter how many men are standing against you, you just melt them. I want to keep doing it, but the League does a naval invasion in Bessarabia, and Russia approaches it in the most Russian way possible, completely ignoring it. So I sent my own units to deal with it, but it seems like the League wasn't that serious about this invasion, cause it looks like I caught them when they were about to leave. Now it's time to focus on the main front. I have more hardsuit tripod divisions, and although they aren't trained, they'll quickly learn on the job. This just brings me back to Vicky 2 when you get gas attack and just roll over everyone. This doesn't stop at Breslau. If we are to end this stalemate, I need to make some big moves, so I move southwards to connect with the Russian lines by the Hungarian border. Once I meet up with them, we get a big catch of League soldiers. The final reports in Ostrau show almost 48 divisions, which totals 427,000 men. The German High Command was definitely panicking after that because they ordered a mass assault all across the front, which of course went nowhere, and made it easier to keep pushing against them. The time of static warfare was over. Prussia's elite units ran over any unlucky German told to fight them. Although I'll be real, the gas assault was hard carrying them with these pushes. I don't get why it's so powerful in the lore sense because I feel like armies in this timeline would be more prepared for chemical warfare. What's really great about this tree too is that you have a focus to choose between a nuke focus or a gas assault command ability, and even though I already have one, the focus gives me a second gas assault command ability, so I can just run it forever. I'm just imagining our soldiers going through Germany now like, we did it guys, we liberated Germany. The United Kingdom of Germany can't even fight against me anymore, and I'm destroying everyone in my way. After losing an army around Prague and another one next to Vienna, the German lines are paper thin, and I noticed the Russians mass leaving my front. Turns out, while I was doing all of this, the Americans were snaking through southern Russia. I mean, I'm happy they're dealing with it now, but come on man, can we just do something by ourselves? So remember earlier when I talked about the Men in Black focus and decisions? Well, I finally finished them and infiltrated all the governments across the world, enabling a decision to proclaim the empire, allowing me to do the focus Imperium in Imperio. When I click the decision, I get an event to decide on revealing the shadow government. If you don't, you get 200 political power, but if you do, well...
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Yep, the Germans have taken over the world, and now this has become reality. And I guess everyone is okay with it? Not sure, because there doesn't seem to be any content here. I thought revealing the Empire would make everyone declare war on me, but I guess it's just a decision to end the game. If you keep the Empire in the shadows and play normally, you get an event after you finish the focus. Basically, we send a group of men to Tibet to search for a cave. They wander around the maze of tunnels in that cave for a while, and eventually find a powerful orb in the cave system that I can apparently use as a nuke. Now, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but this felt really out of nowhere. So I've spent years infiltrating governments around the world to stop the spread of leftist thought, and my payoff is a magic ball in a Tibetan cave. Like, this feels like a page from a completely different book. Anyway, I stopped pushing in the Alps and focused on moving west to end the United Kingdom of Germany for good. The Germans were the main force standing against me. Other League nations would attempt to fill the lines to stand against me, but for some reason, in a timeline where power armor and armored military vehicles have been the norm for 20 years, nobody packs AT. I think we're close to wrapping things up as I get through France and encircle another 2 armies worth of men, but then I look at Russia, and somehow, despite sending over their entire army to deal with that front, things have gotten worse. But Russia is a big country, so I have time to deal with the rest of Europe. However, as I'm cleaning up Italy in the Alps, I get hit by a naval invasion of the Netherlands. The chemical gas can only buy me so much time, and I need to send hard suits over to deal with it. They weren't joking with this invasion either. The Commonwealth fully committed to this landing, and were rapidly spreading out in Germany, so it required my full attention because they could soon get to my core territory and connect with their forces in Poland, which would be a GG for me. However, once my veteran hardsuit divisions arrived, they barely broke a sweat, driving the League back to Hamburg, and Prussia was safe once again. After losing all of that, the League army was permanently crippled. Iberia had a skeleton crew left to fight there, so it was easy to roll over. And soon I can move over to help Russia, who has still not contained their front at all and is approaching 10 million casualties. When I arrive there, the Commonwealth has 1 division per tile on most of the line, which makes it even more confusing how they were struggling so hard to beat this. All I have to do is set a battle plan and stack the gas assault command abilities, and this front is won. I have to spend a lot of time dealing with this since I have to push the League all the way back to Anatolia, because if I don't do this, Russia won't, since they can't do anything by themselves. With half of Europe under my control, I use that industry to build an air force to bully the UK Navy out of projecting supremacy in the English Channel. I had about a dozen ships at this point, so I would need to make it so the AI wouldn't dare to put a single ship in the channel. After months of naval bombing and port striking, I was considering switching to using paratroopers to invade, but finally in September, the English Channel was clear. With how much the League lost on the mainland, it wasn't a surprise that the beaches of southern England were ghost towns. Those brave remnants of their army tried to pull up in London as if they could stop me. The only way they could save the UK at this point was by guilt-tripping me to leave. The invasion of the UK is over quick, but the war continues because of the Commonwealth nations in the Americas. It dawned on me looking at my focus tree that clearly something broke with the scripted bestial. United Kingdom of Germany has been gone for years, and I still can't do this focus. Look at Prussia right now, and we're still living in Germany's shadow, like whatever mod. I'm pretty sure it broke because France capitulated and the game didn't know what to do when Prussia beats Germany. Thankfully, they are getting rid of the scripted peace deals soon trademark, so I just have to suffer with it for now. I gotta win this war the old-fashioned way, by naval invading America, but it's hard to cross with all the Commonwealth fleets patrolling the Atlantic. I try to bait them with my tiny fleet so they get hit by naval bombers, but that strat did not work for long. So I decided to play the long game by pumping up my dockyards and mass building cruisers to project supremacy. Also, the AI continued to move ships along the European coast, so I was able to snipe ships occasionally with naval bombers. Eventually, I scared them off enough that once I rebuilt a few cruisers, I could start island hopping across the ocean. By the time I reached Bermuda, I had a decent enough fleet of these cruisers that could project supremacy along the eastern seaboard. The American fleet was too scared to fight me, so I had the supremacy I needed to launch my hard suits at the coast of Virginia. Once I landed, it became obvious pretty quickly that the Americans never recovered from their losses that they took in Europe. If they had the numbers, they could have easily bogged down my small amount of units with how much territory I'm gonna have to go through, but the Americans and Canadians have nothing to stop the hard suits, so this war is finally reaching its end. In November 1944, the Commonwealth of Quebec surrendered, and finally we have some sort of peace deal. I still can't do these focuses afterwards, so I guess Prussia is doomed to live in Germany's shadow forever. And with that, that's the end of Prussia for this mod. It was alright. I hope Pax Britannica gets some more frequent updates. I really mess with the setting for this mod, and it definitely has potential to be so much greater. I do feel like the AI acts extra weird though, so hopefully that gets better and they get a better peace deal system. Anyway, that's all for me today. Thanks to Extra for sponsoring this video. Check them out through my link down below, and remember to use my code for up to 40% off their wallets and other accessories. If y'all enjoyed this playthrough, remember to like this video so other people will see it too. Also, shout out to my alumni on Patreon. These videos take a long time to make, so consider supporting me there to help me prioritize making the high quality content you know and love. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye bye!